Hey, what's going on? Eric Bach here, and welcome to the Eric Bach Show. And today we're going to talk about testosterone hormones. And you know what? It might not necessarily be low testosterone that's holding you back, and it might not be your hormones. It's probably your habits and your lifestyle. And I want to dig in here because we have seen such a growth and proliferation of discussions on TRT for men, HRT for women, YouTube documentaries on hormone function. We see a bunch of telehealth companies, peptides, anti-aging clinics, nootropics. All of this stuff is the absolute rage right now. And generally speaking, I think it's very positive because it takes a proactive approach to optimizing health and performance. However, there's also the natural tendency for many things in fitness to be positioned as the magic pill, when inherently that's a very incomplete look at just about everything, right? And so what happens for a lot of people is they immediately jump to their hormones, testosterone in this case being the scapegoat and the reason that they are not in shape, the reason they're not getting, good quality sleep, the reason they can't build muscle, lose body fat, keep a boner, whatever it is, right? And, on the flip side for women, it's often, hey, yeah, my hormones are messed up, right? And the reality is, in most cases, it's not that hormones are just miraculously jacked up at a certain age. Right? It's not that you turn 30 and all of a sudden everything falls off a cliff. It's that the habits, it's the lifestyle that we've lived have led to potentially some changes in terms of hormone function, or they've just led to all of the more or less side effects that happen from low hormone function, even if that's not necessarily there, right? Taking this into example, yesterday I had a conversation with a guy who said, hey man, I'm pretty sure I have low testosterone. He was picking up one of our testosterone guides. And the reality was, once our conversation went through, we said he hasn't worked out in months. He's sleeping 4 hours a night. He has 3 or 4 drinks a night, and he eats like garbage. But he's never done blood work, and he's not following a plan. And so is the issue his testosterone, or is the issue that he's not taking care of any of the baseline things for his health, which by extension could be compromising his testosterone, but he doesn't have any actual evidence whether that's the issue or not. And herein lies the problem. And this is coming from somebody who is very pro TRT, HRT, peptide, if you're doing these things intelligently and taking care of your lifestyle first and foremost. I'm very pro for those things, but they cannot be the first thing that people look for. It's a very unhealthy way to approach, frankly, just about anything in terms of our perspective. And so here's what we have to think about. If we are not attacking the underlying things, sleep, stress, training, nutrition, an overall healthy lifestyle, and making that the priority, and instead we are looking directly towards peptides, towards HRT, TRT, all these things without fixing the underlying issues, we're putting a Band-Aid over a bullet hole. When negative side effects happen from HRT, TRT, and all these different protocols that are out there, it typically happens because the underlying system is not healthy, not necessarily from what is being added to it, right? That's where complications arise. And so the first and foremost, most important thing, if you've ever looked at any of these things, is get your blood work done, get labs done, get clear-cut data on what is actually maybe suboptimal with your body, and focus on attacking those things first. Speaking personally, right? I've done blood work, every 6 months, pretty much since I was 25. As of this recording right now, I'm 36 years old. And so I've been able to see what's happened and changed in terms of hormone function, in terms of thyroid function, in terms of stress levels, in terms of organ function, before and after photo shoots, before and after time periods where maybe I was drinking more, whatever it is, right? I've seen how all these fluctuations and changes directly with my body. And before I decided to hop on TRT, which in this case I did the very first week in June of 2025 for reference, I focused on cleaning up all of these other numbers before even making that decision. And this is after tracking my numbers and seeing them decline over the course of over 10 years. Right. And so my point is, when we're looking at all these therapies, when we're looking at all these things that could be the magic quote unquote pill, the next thing that we need in order to accomplish our goals or just to feel better, we have to make sure we're doing the groundwork first. We have to make sure we are laying that foundation of healthy habits and protocols and things that are truly going to move the needle in terms of our health. And in many cases, when we actually get those dialed in, the need for TRT, for HRT, for peptides and all of that stuff, it really isn't there. It really isn't there. So I want to dig into a few things that are truly wrecking the hormone function for many people. And even in cases of not wrecking hormone function, they're just wrecking underlying health. And they're the actual reason that you're not getting results, not because you have inadequate testosterone, thyroid, or what have you. So first and foremost, sleep. When we do not get sleep, our body cannot go through its natural repair processes, right? It has been shown that every single measurement of health is compromised when it comes to not getting good quality sleep, when we are not getting that 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And so if you want to be more motivated, if you want to have better cognitive function, if you want to have better memory and recall, if you want to have better erections, if you want to have the ability to build more muscle, if you want to be able to lose more body fat, improving your sleep is the most important thing that you can do. That is the foundational pillar that has to be a priority. There have been studies, I believe the Chicago sleep study was one of them, where it looked at individuals getting an average of 5 hours of sleep or less for 1 week. And within that time frame, testosterone levels dropped by 20%. That's the equivalent of aging yourself by about 20 years because testosterone levels typically decrease by about 10% per decade, starting around 30 compared to, your 20s when you're at your peak. Right. So that's what happens when we're not getting adequate sleep. And so when you have people who compound that over weeks, over months, over years, of course, that could have an issue in terms of your overall hormone function. But just putting a hormone in your body isn't going to fix all of the other issues that are going to be brought upon by getting poor sleep. So the important thing here is focus on improving your sleep first and see if that happens to lead a cascade effect directly towards improving hormone function or these other concerns. Number 2 would be no resistance training or not following a proper program. You can be a complete beginner if you are going into the gym, but you're not following a good program. Just going in and sweating does not mean that you are getting more advanced. It doesn't mean that you are training effectively. You might be burning calories, and that's a good thing. It's definitely better than nothing. But if you're not following structured training programs, or if you're not focusing on progressive overload and getting stronger in basic exercises when you're in the gym, the chances are you're spinning your wheels and not really maximizing the effectiveness of what you're doing. And by extension of getting on a proper program, getting all of these components dialed in, and actually following something based on science and built by experienced coaches, you're probably not going to see the gains in muscle strength and fat loss that you're really hoping for, right? Heck, if you go in ChatGPT and try to plug in a workout, we were playing around with this the other day, our coaches, and I'll tell you what, if you didn't know what you're looking at, and you decided it was a good program, it was absolutely dog shit, right? And so it's like you have to understand what exactly good programming looks like and get all those components dialed in directly in alignment with your goals. And more importantly, where it's practical and sustainable so you can stick with it long term. And that last component, sticking with it long term, is so important because a program that you can do to 80 to 90 to 100% compliance, even if it's 2 or 3 days a week, is going to beat the shit out of being all in 5 days a week and then falling off for months at a time because life got busy and you couldn't be all in. So it's about that consistency over time and nailing those habits. Nutrition. Listen, the average person in America is consuming about 3,500 calories per day and moving less than 20 minutes per day in terms of actual focused exercise. And so the reality is for most people, the reason that they're fat, the reason that they're not getting good sleep, the reason they have no energy is because they are so metabolically unhealthy based on the diet and lifestyle choices that they've made up to this point. Mic drop, period. That is it. Now, can hopping on peptides, on TRT, on HRT, can it make this effort feel better? Yes. Can it help with body composition? 100% yes. However, unless you fix the underlying things in terms of your eating habits, in terms of how much you're consuming on a regular basis, it's not really going to matter. It's really not, right? Because those issues are going to pop up. They're going to manifest in some other illness or disease down the road. And so we need to think about truly getting our calories in alignment with what our goals are. And the unfortunate truth for many people is they're too lazy to track, right? And it's not the most fun thing to do, but once you do it for 30 days, you have more skill sets and knowledge than most nutrition certifications. And by extension of that, they're flying blind. They feel like they're eating well and, they got hidden calories everywhere from their salad dressings to the oils they put on their food, to the handfuls into snacks and to grabbing their kids' food at the end of the day. And all these things add up. Right. So from a nutrition perspective, we could do a deep dive in terms of hormone function and things we should be eating. But the biggest underlying issue that people are facing is too much highly processed food and dramatically over consuming calories. On that same note, there's a ton of discussion right now on making America healthy again, on seed oils, on all of these components. And while I don't believe that seed oils are the healthiest thing, the primary issue with seed oils is they are in highly processed foods that are highly palatable, and most people overeat them, hence they overeat calories. Right. And so what we see is when we equate like animal fats versus seed oils and we control everything else, there's really a wash. Right. In some cases, seed oils come out on top. Now, again, I'm not recommending seed oils. My point is, if you're consuming a lot of seed oils, it's because you're probably eating a ton of highly processed food, which is higher in calories and therefore leading to fat gain. So we want to make sure we're focusing on the biggest thing that's going to make the difference and make a move in terms of your body and your health. And that's going to be following a calorically restricted diet, getting plenty of lean protein, plenty of fruits and vegetables. And by extension, that is going to clean up your health. That is going to naturally support better hormone function across the board. And in many cases, clean up that diet, losing that weight, that's going to naturally boost those testosterone levels for you already. Now, the lifestyle side, this is really what can make a huge difference, right? Excessive alcohol, medications, weed, being stressed out all the time, sucking on these damn phones, all of this stuff creates a constant low-grade systemic stress that negatively impacts health, right? So we have cortisol, our body's primary stress hormone. We have testosterone on the other side. Think of it that way, right? So polar opposites. So typically when cortisol is elevated, testosterone is going to be pulled down. Chronic long-term elevation of cortisol can lead to suppressions in terms of testosterone, right? This is why we want to focus on stress management. The issue for a lot of people isn't that they have so many high periods of stress. It's that they have chronic low to mid-grade stress that they never do anything to proactively reduce in their life. We're naturally meant to have high spikes in stress and then calm back down. Think of, being a caveman in the Serengeti back in the day, right? You're probably singing Kumbaya, then you go out hunting for the day, and pretty soon you're hiding from a saber-toothed tiger and adrenaline shot, running as fast as you can, and hopefully you're faster than the next slowest person. And the saber-toothed tiger has a delicious meal on your Fred Ted, right? Cool. So in that case, cortisol, good. It triggers that fight or flight response so we can get up, we can get moving, get out of the way, and then we can calm back down. The issue is many people have an elevated fight or flight response multiple times throughout the day, and then more chronic low to mid-grade stressors from their lifestyle, from always screen sucking, from never taking time to decompress, from always being connected, from sucking down pre-workout coffee, all of this stuff consistently throughout the day. So we have to think about what are the things that are leading to this poor lifestyle. And so chronic stress is going to be one. Can we focus on on meditation, right? Consistent meditation. I like the Headspace app. You can meditate quite literally for as little as 3 minutes a day. I would recommend working your way up to 5 and 10. That would be better. But there have been shown to be dramatic shifts in terms of function of your prefrontal cortex as a result of meditating for even 30 days. Your overall ability to disconnect and look at situations. The way I describe meditation is when you meditate consistently, instead of reacting immediately to stress with another sharp reaction, it allows you to have that couple second pause and almost watch yourself and see how you react and control that response, right? Being able to do that pulls you out of so many arguments. It pulls you out of so many hair trigger things that get people so wrapped up these days, especially when you think about all the polarization, all of the, frankly, rage porn that's everywhere on the internet, right? So getting meditation in and making that a consistent habit, absolutely crucial. I do it right in this couch when I wake up in the morning. In addition, I have a gratitude journal, right? Very simple thing you get from Intelligent Change is a website. You write 3 things that you're grateful for, 3 things that would make for a good day. At the end of the day, you review those same things. Again, gratitude has been shown to dramatically improve overall feelings of well-being and reduce stress. Next habit here, go for 3 short walks per day. When people spend more time in nature, more time outside, getting a step count is a great way to do this. It has been shown to decrease overall stress. Don't even worry about the calorie expenditure component of this, right? We have to focus on just getting out, getting moving, getting disconnected from being in front of a screen all day. That itself will decrease your stress and make for a better day. I will tell you, when I'm looking at my steps, if I get above like 12,000 steps in a day, it's like my days are always fantastic, no matter how much shit hits the fan. If I'm below 10 for whatever reason, I'm like, man, I'm typically going to be a little bit more grouchy. It's not necessarily based on the number itself. It's based on the fact that that's not as active as I normally want to be. And it means I'm probably sitting behind a screen for 12 hours that day. Not the healthiest thing, and we all know it. Now, I want to highlight alcohol and I want to highlight weed, right? So any substance that we are using typically to disconnect, to numb ourselves out, is a result of us not addressing something directly in our life, right? Something that's overly stressful. We want to get away from it. Again, it's a crazy ass world. I get it, right? I'm not here to judge, but I am here to highlight that these things are not going to be beneficial for us, short-term or long-term. I've even seen studies that show people who had previously elevated high alcohol intake. Say you're a party animal. I was a party animal for a while, right? In terms of drinking, going out, and having a good time. Sometimes that can permanently elevate SHBG, which scavenges up free testosterone and leaves less of your bioavailable testosterone to actually be used for testosterone-related functions in your body, right? So there can be a long-term effect on this. But we know that alcohol itself is going to dramatically decrease sleep quality. We know that it increases stress and anxiety the next day. So you've had that hangover anxiety, that hangxiety, that's a quick reason why. Also, your nutrition is going to be absolute trash. And even though you can more or less kind of plow through 1 drink per hour in terms of digestion, it's going to decrease liver function, which frankly, it's where all the blood in your entire body filters through. It's going to negatively impact everything else. And it can take a couple of days to really get your body fully up to full speed, right? And every hour you have that alcohol in, muscle protein synthesis is slowed down, fatty acid mobilization, so fat burning is slowed down. It just wrecks your underlying health. And marijuana, there's been plenty of studies that showed using marijuana can decrease overall testosterone levels. Not every study indicates that. That's something to pay attention to. But what we see now is there are stronger and stronger strains of THC just about everywhere, right? There's all these different Delta 8s, Delta 9s that are like mimicking marijuana in places where you can't get it. And then, as somebody who lived in Colorado, you can go through and buy 50 milligram edible, which is like the Everclear version of having an edible, right? So all of these things are really important. Not to mention that long term, anything that directly acts on your neurochemistry, things that flood your brain with, dopamine and serotonin, right? Whether we're talking cocaine, alcohol, marijuana, all this stuff, it can dull your body's ability to actually synthesize those neurotransmitters and respond to them, right? This is how people can more or less over time consuming a lot of these substances can lead to more instances of depression, anxiety, so on and so forth, because your underlying neurochemistry changes as a byproduct of it, right? So these are all things we need to consider. Now, am I saying you should never have a drink and never do any of this stuff that's enjoyable, that brings you connections, whatever it is? No, I'm not here to tell you how to live. I'm here to highlight what's going to help you and what's not. You can make that decision for yourself, but it would be something I would definitely take note of and see, is this something that really is serving me at this point? So now that we talked about stress, we talked about training, sleep, all of these different components, here's what I want you to do. Really consider before you would think about TRT, HRT, peptides, all of these things that are out there, right? First and foremost, are you strength training 3 to 4 days a week? If not, 90 days, commit to it. Are you walking 7,000 steps per day? If not, 90 days, commit to it. Are you at least in bed for 7 hours per day, even if you're not getting that sleep? If not, commit to 90 days to making that happen. Can you go 90 days without having an alcoholic drink? If not, commit to 90 days, make that happen. Are you tracking your calories, eating mostly whole foods, or eating a lot of junk on the weekends especially? If not, dial in for 90 days. Because once you start to make these decisions regarding things like peptides, SARMs, TRT, HRT, they're often decisions that do carry a certain amount of risk. And if you're not focusing on de-risking yourself first, if you're not taking care of the underlying things that are needed in order to make for a healthy body and a healthy system, then you are setting yourself up for issues down the road. And that's the last thing that any of us should want, right? So bottom line, we have to focus on improving the underlying habits first, because in most cases, it's not our hormones that are the issue. It's our habits that have caused some potential issue with hormones. Ultimately, we need to get blood work and get things tested. Don't rely on supplements that are made for your thyroid, that are made to reduce cortisol, that are made to boost testosterone. Get the data first and actually see what's happening under the hood. Otherwise, that's like having a clunky noise in your car, not worrying about it, driving as far as you can, and then just guessing on what the issue is. Not a great decision, right? Well, that's what most people are doing with their body. So focus on the basics first. Success comes from the ruthless execution of the basics when it comes to training, when it comes to sleep, when it comes to recovery. And if you're not nailing those, you're doing yourself a disservice. Save your money. Don't worry about the other stuff yet. Nail those components. Now, if you want to learn exactly what you need to do in order to support optimal testosterone function, if you want to be able to focus on these habits and have a clear-cut game plan for doing so, all you have to do is head over to Instagram. That's at Bach Performance, BACH Performance. Send me a DM with the word test, and I will send you our optimal testosterone guide that'll highlight everything that you need. And even though this is based on testosterone, these same principles, particularly those around training, nutrition, and lifestyle, will be the same ones that will support better function when it comes to, frankly, just about all hormones. All right. Thank you so much for joining. If you got value from this, please drop us a comment, whatever platform you're checking out on, share it with a friend, because that is how we keep this show fresh and free of all of the annoying advertisements that I know I hit triple speed and try to get past. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much for joining.